Hello and welcome to the Mr. All In podcast. As usual, my name is Jacob Staten, and as usual, I'm joined by Joshua Armstrong. JJ, how are you, mate?
Brilliant. Can't complain. I've had a week off work. I've had a 30th birthday. I had a fantastic, beautiful reunion with yourself on Saturday. Finally went back to the City ground. Everything's good. The result, maybe not so much, but fuck, who cares? I'm feeling positive. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you, mate. It was sensational to see you on Saturday. I know you had to survive 2 trains with no toilet, so very proud of you there. But yeah, no, it was great for us all to be back. We had a right little kind of posse of us, didn't we, down in Poets? It was great to be back there and having some fun.
Speaking of which, I want to shout out early doors. Our pal Pete Smith came up to us at Poets and said that he watched the podcast. I had a lovely little chat to him. It's the first time anybody from the wild has come and said hello to us, so I thought that was really cool of him to do so. So appreciated the chat. Hopefully you're watching this as well. But yeah, great to meet you. And if anyone else is there, have a chat with us because we do like speaking Forest, as I'm sure you're aware, and I'm sure you can tell us how much shit we talk. So yeah, great to be in Poets. Great to meet up with you. And onwards we went, half steamed up to the Brighton game.
Absolutely, we did, didn't we? I mean, well, it started in Post, because we've got the starting 11s out. Them having Dunk was back in their squad, wasn't he? He was injured for England duty, wasn't he? That's why he didn't go.
Yeah, they had a few. Yeah. They had Dunk. They had Lamptey. I know he got injured pretty swiftly into the game, but he was back into the mix. Ferguson apparently was injured, but Ferguson was there. It's one of those where you felt prior to the game, everyone's saying we've got a great chance here because of all their injuries. And don't get me wrong, they have got a lot of injuries. However, you sort of listen to that lineup and you're like, oh, that's quite good actually, isn't it? Yeah. So, yeah, I know they had a few come back from injury, still got a few out, but they're certainly strong for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you're looking at our team and the kind of main change, sorry, pardon me. I think the main change to see was that Sangare was ill. So hopefully that's not a long-term thing, but Danilo came in, who's a more than capable replacement. And in that as well, obviously Chris Wood came in for Taiwo, who is going to be out for a long time, apparently.
Yeah, that bit is heartbreaking. And that I did have a bit of confidence going into this game, thinking we can get at them because of their injuries. But when you take into account our injuries and the importance of Taiwo, that sort of extends further than just a squad player being a bit injured. And, you know, he is, I think, essential. I think we're quite reliant on him to play the way we want to play. As we'll discuss, was probably evident throughout the game. So, yeah, absolutely gutted to see that Taiwo's out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose we'll go for the start of the match, JJ, but I'll leave that to you because there was a bit of a queue to get in at the back of the Bridgeford end to get in Upper Bridgeford, which isn't helped by the fact that there's only 3 turnstiles down there. So I was actually behind you getting in, so I actually missed the goal.
You did. You did.
So do you want to talk us through it because I wasn't there?
I'll talk you through the tactical masterclass of how I got into the ground. There was 3 of us walking to the turnstiles, looked very busy. I decided to split off into the third, less busy queue that looked like it was quicker moved than the rest. And I heard behind me them going, oh, he thinks he's in the queue for the toilet. Wasn't. I knew what I was doing. Straight into the ground, straight into my seat. Unfortunately, I missed my looking tyre. I heard it as I was walking to the seat. But yeah, basically sat down in my seat, and about 20 seconds later, Gibbs White has a lovely run at them, which is something we're not seeing too much from him, but he looked positive, he looked confident, whipped a delicious ball in that I thought, Wood obviously couldn't quite get there, but the fact that ELANGA was there in the right spot, right time, unmarked to just bury it, I thought, brilliant. I'm gutted for Jacob because he's missed it. I'm happy I got to see it. 1-0 up this early doors at home against a weakened Brighton side. We've done it. Don't worry about it. Job done. 3 points. What a day. Fantastic.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So then it rolls on a bit, doesn't it? It rolls on. I think the rest of the first half, obviously, I'm going to say the rest of the first, up to the equaliser, I thought it was very 50-50. I didn't think any team was particularly in charge. I didn't think anyone was kind of, to be honest, if anything, I think kind of they had much more of the ball, as you could imagine, but I think kind of the team taking the scruff of the neck of the game was probably us.
I'd say we had the chances of the first half. Certainly. Obviously, they scored a very weak goal, which we'll talk about. But I've seen people say online that we got absolutely battered the first half, which I just cannot see at all. I know we were certainly a bit tanked up. We were probably watching a different game completely to everybody else, but being in the ground, it just felt like it wasn't that. The disparity wasn't as high as some people are suggesting. I think it was largely equal. If anything, we had the better chances of the half.
Yeah, I mean, it's that possession 9/10 of the law thing, isn't it? You know, that's in a courtroom, not on a football pitch, isn't it? So if we're going on possession, they probably, they were ahead of us. But I think actual chances and until the Evans equaliser, I thought it was quite an easy game.
Mm-hmm.
But then, that equaliser was just, if anyone's watched the vlog, you'll know that JJ literally said, "Oh, sorry, I'm not going to quote it. I want you to tell me what you actually said, JJ, please."
It wasn't filmed, unfortunately.
Was it? Okay.
But
sorry.
Danilo gave the ball away, and I immediately turned to you and said, "You know what? I don't mind that if it doesn't cost us."
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
And then it kept going. I said, "If it doesn't cost us," and it kept going. I said, "If it doesn't cost us," and then bang, equalised. And I thought, for fuck's sake,
because we were counter-attacking, weren't we? Danilo was down the right wing.
Yeah.
And I think he's tried to play what would be a difficult pass with his strong foot with his weak foot, and it should come straight off the defender, hasn't it? And they've literally 2-3 passes. They're the ball's in the back of the net type thing.
Like,
admittedly, it was still a good finish though.
Great finish, yeah. It still felt a bit too easy for them to just walk to us. It felt like we were sort of retreating a little bit, and you can criticise Danilo for his stray ball, but there's a lot of people that goes past before it goes in the back of the net, and it was a good finish, but it did feel, and this seems to be the sort of the root of all Forest goals conceded at the minute, but it just felt unnecessary, I would say.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's a really good way to describe the second goal as well. So we'd actually already gone down for a halftime pie and a pint and about 6 bags of crisps and a hot dog each and that kind of thing. We were watching the game on the TV down on the thing, obviously. But yeah, it's just, if there's ever a goal not to concede at halftime, and I know you shouldn't concede any, but if there's ever a goal not to concede, it's that goal, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's just it's a half decent ball into the box, and the attackers just wanted it more than Aina has, and it is a good header, but he should never have been allowed to get to it, should he?
No, I think Aina mistimed his jump. Obviously, it was a good header to travel the distance it did to go in, and I wouldn't particularly say Vlak had anything wrong to do there. I think it's just, again, unnecessary, unfortunate, and ruin my bloody hot dog having to listen to the cheers go in and it not be for us. So the positivity coming down those stairs of once Cooper kicks them up the arse a bit half time, we can get back at them and get back in this, I think. Was zapped slightly at that point because it 2-1 against a side that are like Brighton. I think you're going to struggle typically, but yeah, I mean, obviously second half was different, but it's a shame that we conceded then in the way that we did, in the manner that we did.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've come out in the second half as well, and it's very similar, very similar vein, probably not much in it. I think we need to come out with a bit more fire, if I'm being honest. And then it comes to the penalty, which is one of those ones where I personally don't mind them given if they're all given, which is my only problem with it. But it's a very clumsy piece of defending by somebody who's a striker in Chris Wood, and I just can't have any. I can't. You can't. I don't know what VAR were checking. It was a penalty. It is what it is. But yeah, it's one of those ones where if that's given, that's fair enough. But it's a bit like the 2018 World Cup when England got all the penalties from the corners, didn't they, against Panama? If you're gonna give them, awesome, but you have to give them all, and that's the issue, isn't it? They don't. So I mean, that's a sidebar about referees and VAR. But yeah, and a very well dispatched penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah, well taken penalty. I think there was quite a lengthy pause in the ground whilst we weren't sure what was really happening. Which I know we can moan all day about VAR, but it just feels like as a fan in the ground, you're just not too sure what's going on, and I just don't really like that. So, yeah, sure, give it as a pen, but like you say, be consistent about it. Literally similar chance in the same game. The referee waved on. Eventually, VAR overturns it, and we get a penalty, but you give one of them, you've got to give all of them. And in a different game, you'll see that happen and nothing be given. So the consistency feels lacking. Thankfully, obviously, the Hudson-Odoi one got overturned, but I just think it's a bit soft. So, like you say, you can see why it's given. Can't really complain. Is soft. Have to be consistent with it. Well-dispatched penalty. 3-1 down. A lot to do. Chances are we're not going to get back into this, but it seemed to spark us into life a bit, and it begs the question, why does it take us going 3-1 down to get a bit about us? But there you go. That's football, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And obviously, shout out to Morgan Gibbs White, because it was an absolutely fantastic penalty after such a huge delay as well. Not even after even after it was given, there was a huge delay. And obviously, Lewis Dunk went from a yellow card to a straight red, didn't he? For what I think everyone's seen on Twitter is he called the referee a bold bellend. Something to that degree.
the man speaks the truth. What more can he say?
The man does speak the truth. Unfortunately, speaking the truth, you can get your hands cut off, aren't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you can't speak to referees like that, can you? But also,
you can't. I think there's an element of it where the referee, for me, was having a bit of a bad day. You thought he got all the big decisions right. I think VAR got the decisions right, but the fact that this crowd were chanting, "You're not fit to referee" and "You're shit every week," I reckon that gets in his head. And as soon as a player on the pitch calls him a bell and he's ready to go. So yeah. You can't speak to referees like that. But if he's having a shocker, I don't know. You can't excuse it. You can't speak to him like that, I guess. But you know, it's not anything we didn't all feel in the stands. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't particularly like Anthony Taylor as a referee. I just don't actually think he was that bad against us in the game. I'm not saying he was great. I just don't think he was particularly that bad.
I thought he was shocking, and I think it felt like he was inconsistent in not. There was some very obvious fouls that we should have been given that he just didn't give, and then it felt in return Brighton would get it, and I think their fans would probably say the same thing. Some very obvious fouls that they weren't given that we were then given for. So his inconsistency for me was a very weak point of his performance in that. I think he were rubbish.
Okay. I think Steve Cooper summed it up after the game as well, didn't he? That because Anthony Taylor is meant to be one of the top referees in the country, isn't he? And I think he said something similar to what I've just said of, you know, if he's given the Brighton penalty, then why can't he see and give the one on field? Thankfully, VAR overturned it, but how is he not seeing it? I think was Cooper's point.
Yes,
which is very fair. But then obviously they're down to 10 men. We scored to make it 3-2. And to be honest, I think we gave it a really good go for those last 20 minutes, including extra time. I think we gave it a really, really good go. And obviously we fell short, and there was a really good Ryan Yates header later on, but it felt nice to watch his attack for 25 minutes.
Yeah. I think it shouldn't have taken that long to do that. But obviously when they were down to 10 men, that spurs you on. I think Brighton are good, yeah. Hudson-Odoi came on. I think he made a really positive impact, which in turn moved Gibbs White to the middle. Therefore, he's got a more positive impact. ELANGA, I've seen some people say he was brilliant, but for me, he didn't back himself quite as much as Hudson-Odoi. I feel like he gets to the point where he's against the defender and almost backtracks or doesn't back himself, even though he's got the pace to beat them. But I largely felt that within those last 20 minutes or however long it was, we went at him. We had a few chances. I said more than once to you, that was a chance, that wasn't it? That was it. That was our chance to get back into this. I think on another day, probably equalise. I think been unfortunate. There was one that fell to Danilo's foot from a corner. Unfortunately, way too late for him to react. Looking back on it, Gibbs White had one where he could twat it, but unfortunately hit it into the ground. Toffolo, I think it was, possibly had a deflected thing that the keeper came up and saved. I think the keeper made one or two very good saves in that last 20 minutes. There was a Yates header. So I think we gave it a very good go. Certainly a good go. And obviously, that left us quite open to them countering, as we can discuss one of the fucking greatest moments of the game.
Yeah.
I'll let you take it away because I know you're a particular fan, but we were countered. João Pedro running through. Talk to me, Jacob. What happened next?
Well, now forgive me because I can't remember which player was actually chasing after him. I think it...
Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows anyway? So he's being chased down and he gets clear. And he isn't just clear, he's on goal. It's 1-on-1. And Murillo just flies out of nowhere. And because in my head, I thought he was going to go side by side and try and put him off and, that kind of thing. And instead of that, I can't describe the tackle. It was amazing. He's just flown through the ball. None of the man, no messing about, flown straight through the ball and just, I don't know, it kind of reignited the stadium again, didn't it? It was absolutely amazing. When you couple that with some of the passes he was making during that game as well.
Yeah.
He's a special player, real special player.
Absolutely. When Pedro was through, my thought were, hopefully I can just back Vlac 1-on-1 here. Because to me, that's, chances are this could be a goal, but let's see what Vlac can do. But the fact that it didn't even get to him because Murillo did what he did is incredible. And you look at the video back, someone's put it on Twitter and said the fucker's jogged half of the time to make it harder for himself.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, that turn of pace to just sprint and still make the tackle, even though he's behind the player, is just incredible. And I think that desire and that passion to make that tackle that, like you say, invigorated the crowd a bit more and sort of revitalises a bit. I think, he is a very special player and he will not be at Forest for much longer. We'll get a lot of money for him. He's a very special player. People are probably sick of hearing people online say that, but he is incredible. And like you say, some of the passes he was putting together, granted, not every single one came off. There's a few that went astray, but even the success rate of the ones he did for a player in his position, that young, having so few professional games, is just, some of the passes were ingenious and they were pitch perfect. And is an extra element to allowing us to sort of go forward in an attack. So, unbelievable player.
Has he played more games for us now than more than Corinthians?
How many has he played? I think it was 13 professional games. Close. Must be close. I don't think he's played 13 yet, has he? But the fact that he only played a few is mental for where he's at.
Yeah, 7. So, in 6 games' time, he's played more games for us than he has for Corinthians.
It might be more than 13. 13 is just what I can remember.
I'm looking at on Transfer Market. Yeah, it's 13. It's crazy, isn't it? He's going to be a huge player, and I'm trying not to get too attached. If I'm being perfectly honest, JJ.
Yeah, we shouldn't, because he's not going to be a. If we can keep him next season, and if he can build upon these performances or consistently put in the same performances he has been, we'll have done very well. He's a great player. So great scouting. Great transfer. To go back to the chances at the sort of end of the game, I think we had a great go, but the last kick of the game, 3-2, lights on, City ground's ready. We get a corner. Vlac has gone up into the box. It's time. This is special. And I said to Jacob, film this, because if a keeper goes up, you've got to film this. This is going to be unbelievable. Cue Morgan Gibbs-White not beating his first man from a corner and the game ending. I think we need to talk about set pieces in general, because whilst that one was a bit like, oh, for God's sake, I think for me, set pieces felt better on Saturday. Toffolo in particular, his corners were improved, and it was interesting to see that Gibbs-White wasn't on every corner, and they've almost listened to people saying, get him off it. So I think we would certainly better. We had some better deliveries. Obviously not brilliant, but still good to see that they're at least listening, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, I don't know, the game in general, I think was we handled it a lot better around things like set pieces and that kind of thing. And I even think those last 25 minutes, all the chances we tried to take, we were pretty calm, nodding it back across goal and not just snatching at stuff, which was really nice to see. It's just just really unlucky we didn't actually manage to get a point or
yeah. And this is why I feel a bit confused by seeing the fallout online, because I feel like I've watched a different game, because I've seen people say we were terrible, disappointing, crap, like Cooper out, all this shit. I don't think we were that bad. I don't think Brighton were that good. Brighton were okay, and I think we were fine as well. I just don't think we were that bad.
Yeah, I think 3-3 would have been a fair result. I'm obviously not happy about how it's ended, but I don't think it was a kick in the teeth or anything like that. I just think we got beat by a better team on the day. Now, this is a top 6 team, isn't it? Let's be honest. They're playing in Europe.
They're a good side. If that's their
top 7, but yeah,
they are. They're in top 6 now.
One of the best managers in the country.
Apparently, yeah. They're in Europe. Their second squad is, if that's their second string squad, it's very strong.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I know they've got injuries, just said, but playing João Pedro instead of Karu Mitoma. Still got Evan Ferguson up front. Tarek Lamptey came back from injury.
Got
Lewis
Duncan, Van Heck.
Bruggen looks a decent keeper. Pascal Gross has been fantastic.
Adingra looks good. They've got good players. They've got good players.
Yeah, and they've got a good system, and they keep ticking over. And it's it's kind of a bit like the Brentford thing a few seasons ago. They're on pretty well, aren't they? So
yeah,
why not? But yeah, I don't understand the Cooper. I don't understand Cooper. I mean, I obviously respect pretty much everyone's opinion if they want to say Cooper out, because I don't think we're making progress. But I can personally absolutely see the progress we're making. Absolutely see it. If you look at the teams we've lost to this season: Brighton, West Ham, Liverpool, Man City, Man United, Arsenal. Only West Ham aren't top 6, really, aren't they?
If you said to these Cooper out people, would you take De Zerbi over Cooper? They'd go, absolutely. And then if you said to them, well, he hasn't won in 6 in the league, he's drawn at home to Sheffield United, he's drew at Everton, he's drew at Fulham. If Cooper did that, they'd be fuming. And that's the thing. Managers go through peaks and troughs, unless you're Pep Guardiola, but you go through sometimes you're just on a run where you can't buy a win or you keep drawing. Even the managers like Unai Emery has lost to some shit teams in the past, even though look at Villa, they've got Unai Emery. De Zerbi's on this run.
Bad at Arsenal, wasn't he? He wasn't good at Arsenal.
Yes, he's done very well at Villa, but he's still lost to some teams that he shouldn't be doing, and he's been on a few poor runs, and well, maybe not. They've got like a really great record, but still, a few points they've not picked up. They've drawn or they've lost to get to a team they should be beating. And it's the same with De Zerbi. Like, these things happen. You can make excuses for De Zerbi with his injuries, being in Europe, fixture congestion. And I think what they'd actually say is that's a hindrance, but he's like a victim of his own success there. By fixture congestion, by being in Europe and having injuries due to that, is being a victim of your own success. They've done so well to get into Europe, so therefore they've got more fixtures. And I think Cooper is a victim of his own success with these lot, because we're comfortably in the Premier League. We're not top 8 or top 10, but because he stayed up, for some reason now we're entitled to do more. So I think his success has put him on a pedestal where we should be doing more. But for me, I completely disagree with that. I think it's great to be ambitious, but be realistic. We've got an 8-point cushion. We're not really threatening to go down. The squad is good. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand this. If we're looking at the owner's point of view, he's invested a lot, hasn't he? Type thing, but it takes a lot to stay in this league, doesn't it? That's why we weren't back there for 23 years, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't see it. I really don't see it.
I can't see it.
You might get pelters first, but even if we were to go down, I don't think there's anyone better to bring us back up, is there? Not that we're going down. I really don't think we're going down, but even at this point. But
at this point, it wouldn't get to that. If we went down, there's no way he would still be in charge.
No, he wouldn't. But there's nobody else I'd want in charge, though.
Exactly. This squad is good and is capable of getting top 10, but that at the minute in our second season is merely an ambition, and I think it's misplaced ambition to be 3 points off top 10, moaning about the manager, even though we clearly look better than we were last season. With 1 win off 10, we're in between the bottom with an 8-point cushion, We're closer to the top 10 than we are the bottom. So why is that a bad thing? He's clearly the right person for the job. And we've got players in, and we have players performing the way they are because of him and his man management. People have been shouting for Lopetegui, who's been labelled as Wolves fans as slow and boring football, but they asking for him as a solution to what they deem as boring football with Steve Cooper. So it just don't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense to me either. But I get people are frustrated. I absolutely do.
Of course.
We've not. There are times when we absolutely haven't showered ourselves in glory, but come on, man! Like we are. I think collectively as a fan base, we're a bit better than this. One thing I've just looked up. This is going to. I think you'll find this hilarious. Is that so? Murillo actually only made his full debut for the first team at Corinthians in April this year, on April 29th.
Mad. Mental.
The day we lost 2-1 away at Brentford, that was when he made his debut, and now he's playing for us in the Premier League.
Mad. Mad.
That is incredible.
Special player.
Special player. And he's one that if we can keep him for the rest of the season and hopefully next season, that's just someone else to build on, isn't it? But we've finally got a somewhat settled back four. Amazing. We had to ruffle the feathers a bit in midfield with Danilo, who's only just come back from injury himself, which is a bit unfortunate because I think he would have done better if he was fully fit. And then we haven't got Taiwo up front. So we just, we're still a bit in flux, aren't we? I think if we could play that team that played against Villa at home, that is the first team, isn't it? That for me is the first team.
We are in flux, though. We are, because we're a second season team. And last season, we had the whole 30 signings, difficult to embed that. It's not changed this season. There's still 13 people coming in. That is still a difficult task to mould together whilst having the task of transitioning mindset, tactics, formations, all this with new personnel. And I think we're doing a bloody good job of it. We look better and we're showing flashes where it's clicking really well and working. So if we had a fully fit, our first choice 11 with Taiwo up front, it's a different story, I think. But we don't have that. And we're making do with what we've got largely, whether that's a few draws here and then, just about losing to someone like Brighton. It's fine. We can't be so entitled as a fan base to just expect to be top 10.
Our goal difference is still good. We're a win off 10th.
8 points from relegation zone. Lovely cushion. Fine. And we've got Everton next, which is a good chance to pick up points. That's a segue for you, Jacob.
Oh, Segui. There you go. So, ignoring everything we've just said, do we think Everton's make or break for Cooper?
As suggested by a lot of the fan base on Twitter and the media, it sounds like it is. It sounds like he's under pressure, but it sounds like he's always under pressure with this ownership. Mm-hmm. And I said to you earlier, I don't think Marinakis being impatient and ambitious is enough of an excuse for him to sack him. I just don't think that works for me. So I do think he's under pressure, and I think it could be make or break for him, but I hate the thought that it is because I just can't see it. It's going to add an extra layer of complications to the game if we're feeling under pressure, but I think if anyone can sort of thrive off that, it's this squad and Steve Cooper, because how many times has he come in and faced this sort of criticism or under pressure circumstances where he's turned it around? He came to the club bottom of the championship under pressure. Of course he was. To keep us up. He took us up. He went into the playoffs under pressure. We still went up. He went into last season under pressure with 30 new signings. Survived. At Leicester, he was a dead man walking. We lost 4-0. Stayed up, got a new contract. There was a Leeds game further on that season where he was labelled a dead man walking by people in the boardroom. Still survived. Still took us up. It blows my mind that there's even the conversation going on now. And I know people say we're not Steve Cooper FC, we're Forest FC, fine, but he is the manager of Nottingham Forest, so therefore we should back him. And I do think it's make or break, unfortunately. I just think it's the entirely wrong thing to do. But I'm confident that if anybody can rescue that situation, it would be him and this squad, who he hasn't lost the dressing room. Certainly back him.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you? What do you think? Do you think it's make or break for him?
I understand where it might be, but no, it's not make or break for him. I think make or break for him is relegation. That's where I sit. personally, ignoring reality, I suppose. But yeah, we are 14th, and yes, we did just lose at home, but come on, man, like this is the Premier League. It's the toughest league in the world, isn't it? For a reason,
Yeah.
Look at the top. Look at the top of the table. 6 points separates the top 6. 7 points for the top 7. 8 points for the top 8. That's at the top.
Good maths.
I'm looking at the table right now between Arsenal, who are first on 30, and Brighton, who are 8th. That terrible team, Brighton, on 22. 8 points separate the top 8. Point per position.
But this is where
crazy.
You look at
crazy.
Brighton fans will be looking at it going, "Oh my God, we're 8 points off top. What a great position to be in." That's a good place to be. We've got an 8-point cushion from the bottom, and you should look at that in a similar vein of great cushion to have.
Yep. Yeah,
I guess some of our mindsets, if you're looking specifically at the fact we're 14th, which I think is about right for where we are, then I think you're looking at it wrong. Look at the points, look at the performances. There are flashes of it going well, and there's flashes of it clicking, and we will get there.
Yeah, I think there's probably already 2 tables, isn't there? This the way it's going to go. I think there's 2 battles clearly between the top 10. I'm looking down to Chelsea. I know. Oh, you think it's 3?
There's 3. There's the top 10.
True.
There's the 10th to 16th, 15th, and then there's fodder.
Yeah. I think it's probably a straight battle between Luton, Sheffield United, Everton, and Burnley for going down. 3 of those 4.
I think Bournemouth are great.
Fulham, Marseille, Palace, Wolves picking up enough. Brentford will probably never get anywhere near it. Chelsea are in flux themselves, but they do have good players. West Ham are a peculiar team at the minute, man. Really peculiar team. When they turn up, they can really turn up, and then when they don't, they really don't.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at Newcastle have got some horrific injuries plus Champions League football, which is never easy to combat. Manchester United, I don't understand them. I don't understand what Ten Hag's doing. Ange Ball's only just lost his head a little bit, hasn't he? Because he's had he's playing Emerson Royale at centre back, wasn't he? I think that tells you. Well, he's playing a right back and a left back at centre back on Saturday night.
Mm.
No, yesterday wasn't it? Sunday. And then Liverpool. I don't think City have played well this season, and they're only a point off the top. Arsenal on fire again this season, aren't they? Challenging again. Liverpool flying under the radar. It's an amazing season this season. I think this could be one of the best on record.
Yeah, let's just say though, Forest fans pinpoint Crystal Palace as their ideal mid-table club. Let's emulate them and try and get to where they are. There's the next logical progression of step. They're at one place above us. I think they're 2 points ahead of us, and they've just lost back-to-back games against Everton and Luton.
Yep.
That's the nature of it. It's a tough league, and they've lost to Luton. They've lost to Everton. We drew against Luton at home. Granted, a frustrating performance. A lot went wrong there, but it could be worse. And if a team like Crystal Palace losing to them, that's who we're trying to emulate. It's one of those, isn't it? It happens. So I just think we need to be really realistic. But Everton are next. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think it'll be an absolute dirge of a game. I don't think it'll be great in any capacity. I'd like to see us try and keep the ball on attack and build play like we did against West Ham away in the first half. When West Ham went us up, didn't they, from that mistake, and then basically left us with the ball. And I thought we actually played really, really well. So I'd like to see us do that, because one thing that's definitely going to happen is they're not going to come out attackers, are they? But yeah, I don't think how that's the 5:30 game that's on TV. I have no idea. Yeah, absolutely no idea. But
with the points deduction that they've had, I thought this could be a bad time to play them. Felt bad, a little bit bad for Man United, but not really, because I don't care about them. But you never think of a worse time to play them than at home after a 10-point deduction when all the fan base comes together. But I'll just read you out a tweet that I saw, which was quite funny.
Paddy Power.
It's not. Adam Clary says, Everton fans raising over 40 grand, getting 35,000 people organised for a protest and creating a bear pit atmosphere only to get the goal of the season dropped on them in about 150 seconds. Barclays. And they all left as well in time for Strictly Come Dancing, which is, I think, the one you're referencing. So possibly not quite as bit between the teeth as we thought. I think they will target this game as one they can get points off. It will be a very physical battle. If Sangare is out, I think this has to be one for Ryan Yates to come into and just be a bit of an arsehole in that midfield. They're not going to make it easy for us. They will try and frustrate us, and they will try and dampen the crowd because Sean Dyche knows this club, has followed this club, and knows how to get at us. And the first step of that is quieting down the atmosphere. So it is going to be a rotter of a game, I think. But we should be looking. They're going to look at this and target 3 points. We should be looking at this and targeting 3 points, 100%. You can argue that whilst there's no better time for them to play us, whilst they've got their backs up, there's no better time for us to play them whilst they're distracted with all this stuff and been pulled back into a bit of a battle. So, yeah, it should be a pretty shit game, but one I'm looking forward to, mainly because your pal's coming down from America. So
all the way across.
I'm looking forward to the session more than the actual game. But, yeah, I'm going for a Forest win, and I'm going for 2-0.
2-0. I'm going to go 3-1. I'm going to go 3-1. I too am looking forward to the sesh. My dearly beloved friend Casey Fitch is coming all the way from US of A. We've got him a ticket. He's coming. It's going to be a great time in Poets before the game as well.
Lovely.
Yeah, we had a just to echo JJ as well. Thanks to Pete for coming and saying hello to us on Saturday. Saturday?
Yeah, it was Saturday. Yeah.
Saturday. It's wonderful to talk to you guys. And shout out to Poets as well, because they've done some decorating. There's loads of forest pictures up around now, and it's or even more than there was before. They're nice memories to have on the wall, aren't they, JJ?
They are. And let's have some more of them by keeping Cooper in a job.
Oof. Absolutely. So you've said 2-0. I've said 3-1. Was it last season? 2-2, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let us know in the comments what you think it's going to be. I think it's going to be, like I say, a dirge of a game, but it's one of those ones. Was it the Leeds game when we won 2-0 when Tyler Walker scored in the last minute? I seem to remember that being like we went ahead pretty early on and then basically just battled it out in a counter attack. So it could be a very similar game to that, I think.
Yeah, we've had a Ruby up here. She's wants to say a piece.
What's up, motherfucker?
She's going to take over as the new host of this podcast.
The Red Dog.
Ruby Red Dog.
There you go. I ain't got King Billy on me, so
it's a shame.
It is a shame. But if you're listening for the first time, thank you very much for finding it. Appreciate it. And if you've come back again and again and again, God knows we love you. You Reds.
Yes.